Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Marketing 101 for chiropractors. This week, we're talking about recessions. Yes, we're in a recession. Stop neglecting this. It is what it is. If you've been around for a while and practicing for a while or in business for a while, you've probably been through a recession or two. And you can talk to others. It's not the best way to gauge a recession on how your neighbor is doing. The recession is based strictly on how the economy is doing, and it really does affect business. Now, as chiropractors, we are just bad business owners. Unfortunately, it's the truth. We don't know all the levels of what it takes to run a business. We learn the hard way as we open a business. And that's just the truth. Some of us do have business backgrounds through school, which significantly improves the understanding of how to run a business right off the bat. But many of us don't have a business background. We have a science background and we became chiropractors or health service providers or what it may be. So, recession, what does it mean? It means to be aware. It's aware of not only your patients and your clients and what they have expendable cash, but honestly how the economy is working in the banks. So, this affects you during booms and busts based on lending. This is all it really means. So for many of you, you've gone through recessions and you didn't really notice much and you did well and your practices grew and you're like, oh, it was fine. That wasn't really much of a recession. That's true. It's probably because you didn't need any lending. You probably didn't need anything to expand. And during recessions, you'll see higher interest rates and yada, yada, yada. But we are in a recession. So, what do you need to be aware of to be successful through 2023 and into 2024? Is this going to be a 2 month recession or an 18-month recession? It's already been 12 months. It's been, we're in it. They are in denial up there in government, trying to sugarcoat this because we're within an election year. That's fine, whatever. Coming up, right? All the chaos. But we are in a recession. We truly are. So if you're needing any lending or expanding or revenue, that's where you're going to feel it. It's going to be tighter. The process to get the money is going to take longer, and it's not going to be in your favor right now. That's just the way it is. Inflation isn't helping anything either. We're seeing this, and we're also seeing people's new patient numbers going down. And they're wondering, is that part of this recession? The answer is not as simple as you may think. This could be different things. There's other people I coach that have great new patient numbers right now and all through 2023. So you can't just say it's a recession, so everyone's going to suffer. It all depends on what level of or what part of your business you're in right now. But what are some things you can do to be proactive during recessions? And knowing that the economy is under a little bit of a strain right now, knowing that GDP is down, knowing that things are shifting in all levels of the economy, what can you do in your business? It's about being smart during a recession during these times. This is where the shiny new things are not a good idea. This is a bad time to make a move to add an addition to you. And you're going to see the marketing press harder from these companies to sell you the machines, the cryotherapies, the coaching, the groups, the expansions, the processes, you know what I'm talking about. They're gonna hit hard right now because they're gonna see their numbers start to crunch as well, with just moving product. It's just the way it's going to be. Don't get suckered into this because your new patients are down and you're going to try a lateral when you're not ready for a lateral. How do you know when you're ready for a lateral? You know you're ready for a lateral when your primary service avenue is running smoothly, the systems and the procedures are running smoothly, you are staffed properly, those things are delegated properly, and the big and you have help in the growth of that avenue. If you've been stagnant for a while, it does not mean you're in growth mode. If you reached your glass ceiling, you are in growth mode and you're stuck and you're just missing help. So these are the cues you need to follow to understand what level you're in your business. We always think we need to grow, 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 but that is not a healthy way of building a business either, because eventually you're going to hit the ceiling. It's about growing, lifting the ceiling, growing, lifting the ceiling, and always making space to grow. Otherwise, you're going to go through expansion. And what happens through expansion? Contraction. It always happens. It always happens. If you feel you're growing, that can be a good thing. If you feel like you're expanding quickly, sirens are on. Sirens are on. You may think it's a great thing. Cash flow is going well. Profits may be going well. But remember, there's a contraction. Through massive expansion, you cannot fill in all the gaps fast enough to keep up with the expansion. So there's growth, expansion, which we can call scaling, whatever it may be. Just keep a pulse on that and how you're going. For me, the doubling every year, we opened in 2018. It does. It's this elastic band. You don't even know you're part of the band. You're just part of this tensile strength that's pulling, 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 pulling. You're expanding, like literally doubling, 100 to 200, 200 to almost 400, 400 to almost 800, 800 to like 1 point something million. And it's like, how you can't, but my accountant jokes now. We just met with her last week. She's like, you're going to double again this year? I'm like, I think so. I'm like kind of scared because it was painful last year. Last year was very painful. We're at that tensile strength at that million plus, where when you get there, you can it's the best way to put it is you felt like you had a solid car that you built at the beginning, but you ended up realizing you built a go-kart and you're now trying to drive it on the main highway at 100 miles an hour, right? Or 70 miles an hour. And the wheels are just, you got cardboard in there, and they are just flopping like a training wheels. And that's where it was 2022 for us. I won't share you my story, but I mean, the training wheels they popped off. They're popping off. We are grinding. There are sparks flying. If we double, I'm going to wonder how the heck I pulled it off. I don't think so. We're not planning to double. We're planning to profit. But I just thought I'd share that because I'm going through all of this and I'm coaching people and I'm hearing it and I'm part of other coaches and we sit together, we talk about our clients and the industry. It's such a cool perspective to be from this lens and watch all of us collectively do our thing at different stages in life. We are in a recession. That's what this is all about. I hated it when I heard this in the past. It's been a few times for me. Growing up in oil country and the economy, like I'm just sick and tired of all these Nostradamuses coming out saying it's a recession, get ready. I want to punch them all in the face because it may affect you, it may not, and it just depends on when you're making the moves. People move forward with wealth because they make the right choices at the right times, right? People get set back because they made the wrong choice. And that's just the way it is. And you say, well, how do I make the right choices? Well, it's about knowing where you are in relation to space. So it doesn't matter what's happening out there. It's about where you are. And when you try and make yourself part of the collective and you look at everything like the world is in a recession, America's in a recession, then I'm in a recession. That's not true. It doesn't work that way. It's like saying everyone in the office building has the flu. Everyone in our clinic has the flu right now. Therefore, I have the flu. I love this analogy, and I can only say this on a chiropractic or a healthcare provider podcast because you guys are most of you, 90% are saying, it's not true. You don't necessarily have the flu just because everyone else, right? It's exactly like this stuff. It's all political smoke and mirrors when it comes to this. But a recession and a growth is by the numbers. It's economic. You can't make this stuff up. You just look at the numbers and it's based on growth. And if there is no growth for a certain amount of time, we're in a recession. And they're trying to mask those numbers and play with them. But really, if you look at it since last July, we are in a recession. We're going the wrong way because of inflation. So it's kind of one of those weird recessions where it's not just complete decline of the economy. The economy is actually doing well. So this is where some people are saying in government are saying, well, we're not in a recession because the economy, the GDP is doing okay. We're actually moving. And they're like, well, by definition, that's not a recession. But when you look at all the other numbers, everything's dwindling because of that. Minor, nothing to get scared about. This isn't 2008. But what does it do for your practice? That's where we're at there. So it's just been really cool watching everyone in their different boats in this ocean. You just need to know where you're at. If you're about to make a move, clinic expansion, renovations, anything that has to do with a bank, and honestly, anything that has to do with a bank or a lease for a piece of equipment, you may want to pause. So I hope you heard this. I hope you heard this podcast. I hope it crossed your plate right at the right time. You're like, wait a minute. I'm going to wait a month and see what's going on. And that's all I'm talking about. This is a month to month thing. Wait for it. Rates might come down. You might get a better financing if you just wait. If you just wait, I'm talking months, not years. If you just wait, you may notice that happen. I don't think prices are coming down, but I think access to money will become easier. If you've been trying to get money, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's tighter. It is a lot tighter. They don't want to release the money. I've had people go through the entire process of getting a loan and denied at the last minute. And they've been in practice for 10 years. They're like, what? Why was it denied? So that's the signs of money going back and forth between the banks and the government. So just wanted that as a PSA. But this brings it back into your practice about really knowing when to pull a trigger on things and not just going by gut instinct. Typically, we add things when we're struggling. Generally, most people will add things when they're struggling. Other people will add things when they're doing well because they were just curious about them. They've always wanted to add that to the practice. They're now doing well. They're going to add it. Again, space. Do you have the time? Do you have the staff? And can you delegate to add anything to your practice at that time? It can be when you're struggling, or it can be when you're being successful at the same time. You can't be struggling and successful at the same time. It can be either when you're struggling or successful, but you need to have that space to delegate. If you don't have space to delegate, the training wheels come off. I can tell you this from current experience. The training wheels pop right off. They like fly right and sparks, and you're going 70 miles an hour. And then you look at your speedometer and you're now going 45 miles an hour. That's exactly where I'm at right now, where it happens. So I'm using my life experience and just telling you, if you feel like that, you feel like, oh, everything's wobbly right now and you're about to fall, you might not fall. But that's where you're at with all this. So be careful with when you're pulling these things. Adding, some of the biggest financial decisions we make is not just equipment and laterals; it's people. People or probably make up the biggest investment in your business is your staff. Look at your payroll. My 2022 payroll was 44%. It's a little high. It should be about 20 to 30%, but a little high for last year. So unfortunately, when that happens and the numbers are not adding up, there has to be contraction, and it's painful. Contraction's painful. Expansion's painful. Those are tough times to go through with your emotions and your energy. It pulls you either way. When you're growing fast, tons of energy, and when you're contracting, tons of energy. So those are not healthy ways to practice and run a business, but they are phases of business that can reflect positive or negative, whatever persistence and procedures that are happening. So expansions typically looked at positively, contractions looked at negatively, but they don't necessarily mean one or the other. They can be just a result of what systems and procedures were in place prior to that to get you to that point. So we all have glass ceilings, hard to see them until you hit them. These are all the things to keep an eye. So maybe just a mid-year kind of huddle right now is, it doesn't have to be July 1st. It doesn't have that mid-year doesn't have to be July 1st. It could be right now. You're like, guys, I know it's May 20th, but let's just hit the pause button and get together and talk and do like a midway kind of hustle. Where are we going here? Where's our huddle? Where are we going forward? What does the second half of the year look like? How are we going to move this forward? Should we just stay put and pile all of our energy into this endeavor of acquiring and marketing new patients and really training them at this time, training the patients to be lifelong clients? How do we spend more time on that? Maybe that's something we want. Unless you run a rehab practice, right? Then that's maybe something else where you want to acquire new patients and how to educate them better at this time. But pouring back into your clients right now is what you do during a recession, because they are limited. They are looking for financing for things. Your patients are looking to replace their car. Your patients are looking to upgrade the kitchen. Your patients they're living their lives too. They're trying to figure out how to finance a vacation, whatever it may be. That's where the collective recession umbrella falls upon everyone. We're all thinking this, but in different ways. It doesn't mean that your community won't have money to take care of their health. They always have money to take care of their health. Your patients, your community can afford anything they want. They just can't afford everything they want, right? Have a great week. Keep going. Hit that pause button. Review your practice, review your numbers, and have a clear vision of where you're going for the second half of the year.